I will say this. We know that tomorrow the Revenue Estimating Conference is going to meet, and everyone has the expectation that the Revenue Estimating Conference is going to increase its estimate for fiscal year 08 in terms of the amount of money that the state will collect in taxes. It seems to me, and the House Republican Caucus, that given the fact that this General Assembly has already passed 2 tax increases this year, raising taxes on businesses through failure to couple on the bonus depreciation earlier, and raising property taxes on allowable growth decisions for K-12 school districts, that if additional money comes in, that we should use those dollars, first of all, to eliminate the tax increases that this General Assembly passed. I mean, the argument was, we can't afford this, so we have to raise taxes. You know, we can't afford to do bonus depreciation, taxes have to go up. Oh, we can't afford to pay for all the allowable growth, property taxes have to go up. Well, now that we know we have additional dollars coming in, we should use those dollars first to eliminate the tax increases that the Democrats passed, rather than plowing it into new spending. So I would hope that the governor and the Democrats would consider that before they get too gung-ho to spend the new money and changing the expenditure limitation law or something like that, that they perhaps rethink their earlier tax increases.
Speaking of the REC, earlier this week, Dick Oshlow said that he anticipates those estimates coming in conservative. Are you kind of in that line of thinking as well?
That the REC will have conservative estimates? I honestly don't know. I don't want to prejudge what the REC will do. I believe the revenue estimate for 2008 will go up. My hunch is that then they will recalculate and lower the estimate for 2009 because it's on a larger base. The big question isn't, does it go up? The question is, what happens to the money? I mean, that money really should be used to offset the tax increases that the Democrats passed this year, or those dollars ought to be left alone and let that flow into the Seniority Trust Fund like it would if it was untouched. My concern is that they're going to use this one-time bump in revenue to pass a bunch of new spending programs, be it in terms of supplementals or shifting the money from one year to the other to make their budget balance. There's a number of different gimmicks that they can employ to try to spend that money. The fact is, you know, if it's a 10% increase in revenue, we're not going to continue to have those kinds of increases. We ought not to be building this budget up based on a one-time bump in revenue.
I'm assuming the answer to this is no, but have you gotten budget targets yet for the rest of the budget?
No, we haven't seen any budget targets at all. In fact, the Democrats had appropriation bills on the debate calendar. Today, this afternoon, we were supposed to be debating justice systems and the courts. Yet they pulled both those bills off the daily debate calendar. They were supposed to debate the Education Appropriations Bill in Appropriations Committee today, and then they canceled the meeting. And look, folks, we are 22 days away from our targeted adjournment date. Excuse me, said that wrong. We are 19 days away from our targeted adjournment date. Of those 19 days, 10 of them are 12 working days. We have 12 working days left. We have yet to pass a budget bill. We have yet to see a must-do list. We have yet to even see the balance sheet. I mean, folks, the train is about ready to come off the tracks here. I mean, they're deferring on bills left and right. They're canceling committee meetings. We're not moving major pieces of legislation forward. We're passing a bunch of non-cons. Yet there's major work that needs to be done, and the Democrats either have no roadmap to adjournment, or they're keeping it to themselves and not willing to share it with the public.
The Democrats have said that they're optimistic that they can get done before the 22nd. Do you think there's any chance that could happen?
Well, it can happen if they completely, sure, it can happen, just like they passed that massive collective bargaining change. They did it in the dead of night so the public didn't know what they were doing. Perhaps that's the plan. I mean, after all, I assume they would just as soon not have the hospitals and medical providers know that they zero funded any sort of Medicaid increase. You know, that's the kind of thing they prefer not to have people know. Am I missing the boat? Okay, I'll be there shortly. So I would imagine that there are a lot of budgetary decisions they would like to make without the public knowing about it. So yeah, if they employ those same sort of tactics that they did to shove this Chapter 20 change through, they can adjourn on time. But frankly, I think there's a lot of discussion that still needs to take place. I mean, most of those bills aren't even through Appropriations Committee, let alone being ready to be debated on the floor. Democrats bad, Republicans good.
I think they're calling for a roll call.
Do you have strong feelings one way or another about the silo bill, which looks like prospects are uncertain?
Personally, yes, I do. But members of my caucus are on both sides of that issue. I have a number of members that want to see the silo bill passed. I have a number of members that are opposed to it, and I have some members in the middle. Those folks in the middle are willing to support the silo bill, but they want to see the funds constitutionally protected. Given what we saw happen with Chapter 20, the fact that this 34-year-old, pretty much sacrosanct piece of Iowa code was upended, turned inside out, and a massive property tax increase has now gone along with it. I've got a number of members that are concerned that once silo passes, that the money will be scooped, or the purpose for which the money will be used will be changed. And perhaps not on the same day, but it will happen very shortly. And so there are a number of people that want to see a constitutional amendment to protect that money, allowing the rolling average, those rural school districts, let that happen immediately so rural school districts can get an increase in revenue. Everybody would be fine with that. But the actual raising of the state sales and use tax, that be tied to the ratification of a constitutional amendment so that the money can't be scooped or used for a different purpose.
Is that what your concerns are too?
Yes.
I understand that you commented on the floor one day this week, and I didn't hear it, but on the proposed constitutional amendment for the put 3/8 of a penny of sales tax, there was some speculation.
The Democrats were speculating that we would play games with that, offering the marriage amendment, the defensive marriage amendment, things of that nature. And I committed publicly on the floor that Republicans would not do that. They can have that vote, we will not be trying to play games with that. I'd still like to have a debate on the marriage amendment, but we will not play games with that particular issue.
Was there some discussion of that?
No, it never occurred to us until Ducks Unlimited sat in this office and said, well, the Democrats say that they're not going to bring this up because they're afraid that you're going to offer the marriage amendment to it. After I laughed, thought it was kind of ridiculous, it occurred to me that, okay, maybe the Democrats really are scared about that. And so I publicly told the Majority Leader in front of the press and the rest of the General Assembly that we would not do that. And so the Democrats will make a decision about whether or not they move this natural resources conservation protection constitutional amendment forward or not, but they will make that decision based on the merits of that issue, and they shouldn't make that decision based on, the worry that we would offer amendments or anything like that.
Are you continuing to have discussions in your caucus about the marriage amendment? Do you plan to try any other tactic to bring it up?
I'm probably not inclined to lay tactics out before the press. Thanks for asking, Tom. Sorry.
Will we like to hear?
Would you like to know the rest of my amendment strategy for the rest of the year?
Please?
So have we heard the end of the marriage amendment debate?
No, I'm not. I hope not.
Where's the Republican caucus at on the time coming on?
Well, we spent a lot of time talking about that today. And I've got members all over the board, as I imagine all four caucuses do. The chief concern being, Republican members are really concerned about the shape of the roads in their district, particularly in rural communities. It's been a very difficult winter. You got gravel roads in your area. You know just exactly how tough it's been on them. The concern being about whether or not this plan adequately addresses that. I mean, you're talking about raising $20 million in the first year, of which the counties would get $4 million, which means your average county probably gets a little less than $40,000. How many truckloads of gravel is that going to actually buy you? Because it's sure not going to fix a bridge. The concern is this plan really a good plan? It relies solely on Iowans. It doesn't take into account how you might collect revenue from the 18-wheeler that comes rolling out of Nebraska on its way over to Illinois. And so people are troubled about whether or not this is really the right kind of plan to do. And so people are grappling with that right now. It's supposed to be considered in Ways and Means today, and Ways and Means was canceled. I think that all four caucuses are probably having some trouble with it, and the fact that it keeps changing. I mean, we discovered today that the pickup truck change was drafted incorrectly. That it applied solely to farmer-owned pickup trucks and not business-owned pickup trucks.